Why is the market down? I would say simply, it's the overdue smackadoo. Corny, yes, but true. 21st of September was the solar eclipse. Eclipses are famous for creating volatility that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen it at all. Today is the fall equinox, which is like a change of seasons. And frequently when you get these type of big seasonal events, you can have volatility. So if the market has generally been doing well, like Bitcoin's generally done well, ETH certainly has generally done well. Sometimes on these big inflection points, you can have corrections. And of course, everybody in the YouTube Platinum area and even in the VIP area where we dropped some more hints about this last night. But, you know, our downside target on this from before the Fed was 108. Now, you know, obviously I didn't let that out because the Platinum people all shorted it at 117 because everybody put on the, okay, the Fed's cutting rates, everything is going up trade, which is not the worst idea in the world. And guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work at all. At all. So everybody long with the right idea, but they never got any gratification. Next, bonds. Bonds, right? The Fed cuts rates and you have stocks, crypto, risk assets at all-time highs. So we're kind of blowing bubbles. GDP growth is 3%, 3.4% actually. Economy's kind of running hot because of the AI build out and all the construction. So the Fed cuts rates and the bond market looks at this and goes, well, you know, that's kind of inflationary. Even though I don't really agree, it becomes an opportunity to trade not so responsible government financing. Remember Elon saying, you know, Uncle Sugar was unfixable 2 days before the big makeup over the weekend, you know, with the Orange Man. So government's unfixable. Everybody ignoring bonds. Here's a funny thing. Cramer from MSNBC comes out and says, I'm sick of the market going up. I'm looking for a correction. It's like, okay, Jim, you want a correction? Here it comes. Here it comes. Now, we also have, I think, what I would call intense phony baloney in stocks. Of course, everyone takes it out on crypto. That's usually the first trade. But let's try to go over an example of the extent of the BS going on, say, in the AI trade over in legacy, which is a segue into why you should do it in crypto. According to a guy on LinkedIn, we just watched $100 billion appear out of thin air. No product was built, no value created, just an announcement. It's the Oracle OpenAI deal. So Oracle announces the $300 billion deal. OpenAI, it's a mystery deal, right? Oracle stock goes up 42%. Larry Ellison's net worth goes up $100 billion. Then OpenAI confirms that, you know, they're the customer, right? And then their valuation goes up. And then the next day, Oracle says they're investing in OpenAI. And you're like, wait a minute. So OpenAI is going to do this huge deal with Oracle. And where did they get the money from to buy Oracle services? Oracle. Oracle invests in a company to then get that company to turn around and spend money with them. Now, that's certainly very creative, but really at the end of the day, the only thing that's happened is that they pumped Oracle stock and Larry Ellison got $100 billion richer. Okay. Everyone sees this going on. We all know that, you know, demand for Nvidia chips isn't what everyone says it is, blah, 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 blah. And as usual, when there's a problem in the world, ironically, they trade that problem in crypto before they trade it anywhere else, to the tune of $1.5 billion worth of crypto bets liquidated. as all of the Fed trades get completely washed out, which is exactly in line with the type of volatility we were describing. Because if you don't get eclipses, if you don't get Equinox, if you don't believe it, or you don't even understand what the kind of weird things that are going on in equities have to do with crypto, it's very simple, right? If you're going to have a big move and you're going to have a big up move in crypto or in any market, the first thing you have to do is get everyone out. Like BlackRock's talking about 700,000 Bitcoin. Kathy Wood's talking about 2.4 million. The orange man's son is on the tape, okay, going, yeah, Bitcoin is the future. Oh my God, everyone's got to have it. Michael Saylor is getting philosophical, saying, Bitcoin is the best way to settle our differences, right? Michael Saylor, on that note, paid $117K for around the Bitcoin around the Fed. All right. Now, again, Michael Saylor always has to buy the high. He tells you that. And then dealers taking advantage of the situation, taking advantage of the fact that people just got too long, too quick off a Fed event that didn't matter. All right. And then that combined with the fact that gold is up for a reason. Is there concern in the system? Is there, froth in equities? I don't know. Now, if you want to hear some good news, let's talk about the good news. If you compare the valuation of AI, where, they just throw out hundreds of billions of dollars, daily. If you look at the valuation of that stuff versus crypto, okay, crypto is ridiculous. And I mean, CZ said it. I mean, it's the one sentence market update. It's the one sentence monthly preview. It's like, crypto as a whole is worth a fraction of one chip company. So what they're doing is they're doing a position adjustment. They're washing out leverage. Market makers are pushing the market down so as to get all of that inventory that they sold Michael Saylor back. Michael Saylor bought it at 110. He bought it at 117. He bought it at 111. And they're going to try to push this thing down. They're going to lean all over altcoins. They're going to try to push it down. And my guess is they're going to try to run stops in ETH below 4K so they can reload all of their inventory, because that is exactly what I would do. That is in line with a Gann roadmap published, 10 days ago. We published it so long ago, I had to go in and remind the platinum members what's going on. And, when I look at this morning, I don't think you can underestimate, how hard they could hit this thing. Because markets don't bottom on a Friday or a Monday. They don't. So whatever's happening here, I don't know. Maybe you got 1 or 2 more days of everybody just getting wiped out. However, you're getting a hefty dip in Polkadot. You're getting a hefty dip in Avalanche. Okay. Those turned out to be great, like short-term tactical trades. XRP is on sale. XRP is already at the level where we thought it would be if Bitcoin went to 108. I mean, XRP and Solana were holding up the entire market. And as I said in one of my short videos, when those two coins gave out, the whole thing went with it, along with the really nasty failed rally in AERO. Nasty. Okay. So you can have 2 more days. And now the question is, what are you going to do with your 2 more days? That's the question. Well, you have Federal Reserve speeches and, you have inflation numbers coming up. I think we know where inflation is, and I think that they've stopped fabricating unemployment just in time. So now that we know where everything is, and we know that everyone is washed out, we can go back to the good news. Solana got washed out to support near 215. So again, a lot of the altcoins, A lot of the altcoins are where we thought they were going to be when Bitcoin was at 108. Strangely enough, based on the roadmap, which we're going to be going over that. We're going to be going over that and the October portfolios in the YouTube member podcast. So if you got caught long in this thing, being in the platinum in the VIP group, the VIP podcast with October picks, right? Because it's a fire sale. It's shopping day. So that's actually coming up at 9 Eastern, pretty much directly after this show. So the good news is you have a lot of coins getting to levels where, we actually thought they would be. ETH is actually doing worse than we thought. So if there's a vulnerability in this market, ironically, it could be Bitcoin. Even though, of course, that's ridiculous. We know Bitcoin is the be-all, end-all going forward. It's interesting. It's interesting that the only thing that has not gotten washed out is Bitcoin. And gold was down this morning, and then it turned around and came right back. So there are points of concern out there, and I don't necessarily know that we know where it is. Now, again, back to the good news. That's why the market is down. That's my estimation. Now, what are you going to do about it? Well, there were declines in stocks that, me and the Gann model remember. One of them was 1998. Right? In 1998, everybody got all upset. Big hedge fund got liquidated. And as it turned out, that was like the bottom for the new PC era. Everybody was all wound up about foreign currency events and hedge funds. And it turned out that was the ultimate time to buy the personal computer internet revolution. I don't think this is any different. The dip back in April in stonks, that was a chance to buy the AI trade. And now the AI trade has to move from stonks over to crypto. When I mean the AI trade, I mean capitalism 2.0. I mean Web3. I mean a world where you put LLMs inside of robots. Computers are not going to use fiat. Fiat is in trouble worldwide, right? Like there was a memorial service yesterday for a prominent individual who is no longer with us. And, I heard somebody step up to the podium and say, I really don't like my enemies, and I think that says a lot about how sovereigns are thinking these days. Are they thinking about what's in your interest? And of course, the answer to this is no. I bring this up a lot. The answer is no. The answer is absolutely not. And, you have additional problems in Europe. You have additional problems in Asia with the Japanese. So everyone's going to get down today and everyone's upset, right? Because, a lot of altcoins really turned around and puke hard. Oh my God, I'm looking at the real estate coin, Propy on base, down 15%. This is your classic panic stop loss situation where everybody did the same trade after the Fed. All of crypto Twitter, a lot of those macro experts on crypto Twitter said, oh my God, the Fed's cutting rates by everything. Everyone gets long and then everyone gets blown out. And then everybody gets blown out basically at the low of what's going to be a massive up move, right? We're going to go over some of the scenarios, like I got a couple of equity market scenarios and I got a couple lists of coins I'm going to be running by our friendly neighborhood clairvoyant analyst, Toby, to figure out, where exactly you want to shop. But the point is, you do want to shop. Like, I realize that there are people, I'm talking to them on Patreon, they're like, oh, I'm so disappointed in XYZ coin. I get it. I understand that. But your overwhelming desire to puke your coins has to be replaced now with an overwhelming desire to add, shift, buy, whatever. It's not investment advice. You're just witnessing something very, very, very typical in that they just blow everyone out before it turns. Like, the thing that people need to understand is a major low means no one is bullish or no one is long or everyone is washed out. Just a total blowout. Like there's only despair at lows. So people are like, oh yeah, the Q4 rally. Remember this all over Twitter. I mean, we're doing the same thing. We just had a little bit better timing because of our model. Right? It's like, oh my God, it's going up massively in the fourth quarter. The Fed cuts rates. Every single thumbnail has Powell's face on it. I can't remember in crypto where the Fed chairman was such a prominent figure. Okay. Everybody gets long waiting for the government to save them. That was like the theme of 2025. What you don't realize is crypto is your way away from what these people are doing. And again, you're looking at, you're looking like, just say, woo. This was a DEX that we were looking at last week. It did a nice rally, and now it's unwound that entire rally with a 15% down day in one day. Now, how does this happen? I know you've heard this from me before, but I'll tell you again anyway. How does this happen? Well, everyone gets long. Market makers are desperate to lean on the market because, Michael Saylor took a bunch of Bitcoin from them and they didn't get it back. So now, again, on a Sunday night, everyone's watching football. Boom. They all turn around, and as soon as the market begins to break down and the stop losses get run, these market makers lean on it and just short sell the altcoin perps. They just try to push it down as much as humanly possible. And frankly, there could be part two of this because this is a natural place for a bounce based on DeMark. And if you don't get it, then, you have a bottom. Well, I can't tell you what the bottom date is, but markets don't bottom on a Friday or a Monday. So that leaves you a couple of choices. Okay. But, obviously don't underestimate what they can A, do on the downside, and then B, do on any type of ensuing reversal. I mean, you could easily have a $15,000 range in Bitcoin between now and the first week of October. Seriously. Because they're going to push, they're doing it now. Right. And then, you're going to ask, well, what do you want to look at? What do you want to look at? Like if I had any powder, what was up and then came back down? Well, what about Chainlink? Cross-chain. Remember we were doing all this Avalanche, stable coins with PayPal, and everyone already forgot about that. Right? Chainlink was up. Ondo did a decent rally. Immutable X. A lot of small cap gaming coins keep coming up in the YouTube member podcast that comes up at 9 a.m. Right? 9 a.m. Eastern. So, if you want to know what's going on, you want to know, what small caps to look at or what we've been looking at. I know Toby's going to be really excited when the market gets slammed. She doesn't even want to do the show when it's up. She wants to do it when it's down. Optimism, Arbitrum, layer twos. Okay. You got to keep your fingers crossed that, Coinbase doesn't turn around and do a base token because that would be interesting for Arbitrum and Optimism. But I don't know why the idea of ETH layer twos really never occurred to anybody except the week everybody thought ETH was going to 5,000. And ETH is going to 5,000 and beyond. It just may have to go below 4,000 first. I don't even know if they can do that. Right. And then there's like the Fab 4 layer ones, right? There's SUI, which everyone knows about. SEI, which everyone forgot about. Aptos, which I don't know if it ever showed up on anybody's radar. And there's Sonic, formerly Phantom. Like, what about those coins? I mean, what you think that machines are not going to be trading actively in this market? Matter of fact, part of what we're going to be doing in the platinum area, in the VIP section, and maybe a little hint today in the podcast, is we're going to be talking about how this thing is going to go down, up into early next year, and then down again. And why and when? Needless to say, you got to make your money now because this is your opportunity. And I know you're just like, Bill, I can't take it anymore. My eyeballs are rattling inside my head. I'm like, exactly. You are now a part of the history of markets. You are watching a major low happen as they puke this thing, you know, the worst case scenario for today is like sub 111, right? And then the worst case scenario for, say, the bottom, as it says on the thumbnail, is something in the neighborhood of 108. And again, Platinum members knew this because they were like, the Fed's going to do 25 basis points. I'm looking at the document right now. It says 117.5. And then that was the end. And that was the end because everyone did the wrong trade. And, there's a couple memes that we've been looking at. We've been looking at WIF, Pepe, Floki, right? The Gann model keeps spitting that out. So, I mean, every day I've been kind of giving you like 4 or 5 of the coins. And of course, we have 20 or 30 mid caps with 2 new favorites coming up on the show after that. And on this show, I've been trying to give you a little sample, right? Like, hey, what coin should I be looking at today? Okay, well, what kind of stream can you go on? Chainlink, Ondo, Immutable X, Optimum, Arbitrum, SEI, SUI, Aptos, and Sonic. And don't forget about Tau for Big Rich makes the top 10 that you want to eyeball, right? Because if everything's down 10 to 15%, or if they wash out Bitcoin, can you imagine the headlines? Oh my God, Bitcoin falls below 110, 94K next. That's all wrong. All wrong. Kevin, welcome to Loyalty Badges and Emojis, sir. We thank you. Loyalty Badges and Emojis gets you priority on comments and a special emoji near your name. The higher tier plan gets you into the podcast. Felix is calling me a fudder. No. I am not a fudder. I am a bottom picker because everybody's going to get stopped out here. And market makers, again, it's all really revolves around Michael Saylor. It's not FUD, right? They sell to Michael Saylor and then they need to get the inventory back. There's only so much of this. I was like, oh my God, it's a supply shock. Yeah, some of this volatility, it's created by the supply shock. Because every time they sell to these huge players, they have to slam the market to get it back. Michael Saylor keeps publishing that orange dot plot, right? All the dots in this area are orange. That's because he knows that you're going to wake up one day and you're not going to be able to get the kind of size that he gets. Now, of course, retail's out of their mind. Everybody can't tolerate any more FUD. I understand all that, but it's not FUD if everyone's getting liquidated. There is no FUD. There is no FUD in crypto. The only trade is crypto. I mean, you can join the YouTube member podcast and Toby will start out. We have a joke at the start of the thing. I go, oh my God, I can't believe how it's down. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you care. There is no FUD. Remember the Matrix? Maybe. There is no spoon. There is no FUD. There's no FUD. There's just stop losses. Seriously. Stop losses. Everyone thinks Ethereum's going to 15K, but everyone will be stopping out. I don't know if they can take it below 4,000. That seems crazy to me. But who knows? They might do it. Maybe they did it all this morning. There is no FUD, bro. Ocho is here from Italy. Welcome. Sandstrom, greatest. Bill, where's XRP going before ETFs and after ETFs? Okay, well, dude, look. I believe XRP is a fast form of money. Let's do it this way. You have 2 choices for the future of money outside Bitcoin. WorldCoin, Skynet with your eyeball, or XRP. Everyone's like, oh my God, XRP is centralized. Oh my God, this. Oh my God, that. Dude, what's your alternative? Skynet coin? Really? And Ripple is an XRP treasury company, as I've noted. Just sitting there waiting to go public. I mean, if anything, XRP is definitely in the buy zone. We've had this as the buy zone for a while, not investment advice. Anybody who thinks XRP is somehow outside of the future of money, in my view, is wrong. XRP is a part of the future of money. You don't have 3 currencies in fiat. You have the dollar, euro, yen, sterling, and Swiss franc, right? In crypto, you have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and, maybe one more that hasn't fully surfaced yet. How about Pepe or a meme coin, right? No one wants to talk about meme coins when the market is going down. I think that's exactly when you talk about meme coins, when the market is going down and they're just slamming this stuff. I waited to put out our top meme coin video knowing that this kind of stuff would happen, and I didn't want people FOMOing in right away. So there is no FUD. T-Bone, welcome to the officer corps of the Spartans, a member for 1 year. Crypto AI, Abel Matthew, welcome. Crypto Crazy in the house, number 23, Crypto Billy, who just posted a new video. Givers gain. Make sure you follow Crypto Billy on Twitter, right? Iron Alien 104 BTC. Dude, I don't think it's that deep. I don't think it's that deep. Matter of fact, I think they got 2 or 3 days to do what they got to do here on the downside. Everybody will make up some sort of bearish narrative, and then that'll be it. That'll be the low. Wolf Riot Star, Crypto Plumber, Rave Song Records, welcome. Crypto AI, Julius Max. What's happening? PW Bit. Hello, 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 hello. People, listen. Thought the sale was taking place yesterday, says Warmon. Didn't reason the bottom would fall out today, and Daniel is here, along with Abel Matthews. Okay, so on that note, right, I almost said something to the effect of sideways is the new down. That turned out not to be the case, right? Sideways wasn't the new down. Down was the new down. But, man, did they make you wait. Like, it was painful. Like, I'm like, all right, you got to stick with your forecast. You got to stick with your model. I wanted to FOMO in at 117. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to miss out. Oh, my God, Michael Saylor's buying. And then sure enough, boom. And like I said, ETH, Solana, XRP, all of the altcoins are already there. It's kind of funny. The one thing the model was not exactly right about, it was like, well, Bitcoin will outperform initially. Okay, but then altcoins will get smashed. Okay, they just smashed altcoins. Bitcoin should fall below 111. And if there's a panic trade today, this could happen. I mean, maybe they did the wick already, but who cares? I mean, you realize that, like, with Bitcoin at 110, with everybody talking about 200, if Bitcoin goes to 110, that means Bitcoin could go up 100% to get to everyone else's year-end target. Amazing how they forget about the year-end targets when everyone's hitting the market. This is the day when you remember the year-end target, right? That's when you remember the year-end target, dude. Okay. And again, people can get upset, and that's fine. People are going to be upset. They're going to be mad. This is what you see at a low. You see anger, you see despair, you see emotion, you see, I don't like my enemies. What do I think of Coinbase? Okay, well, Cramer does have a point that perhaps, like a cool-off period is okay, but Coinbase never really participated in the second half of like this recent rally, like it was the Gemini IPO, and that went way up and then way back down again, and now I think it's time for Coinbase. Right. In other words, when they get done hitting this, like, you just have to give it, like, you have to let what I would call the seasonal negative effects, this little mini rectember past. In many ways, I care less about valuations and more about the fact that there was a prior high in Coinbase around 350. Coinbase went to 440. Corrected back to 300. And now if it goes back above that old level where it was at the end of last year, dude, the sky's the limit. I mean, Coinbase is going to be Goldman. Gemini is going to catch up and become a baby investment bank as well. Galaxy is already a giant investment bank. Galaxy is practically its own financial system. So if this stuff corrects, it's just pain. I realize that that's an idiotic statement if you're long out the wazoo. It's just pain. All right. Now, with that said, if you want to know what's next and you want to feel better about the market or both, the VIP YouTube podcast starts in 10 minutes. We will see you over there.